Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Spice Cabinet. It's your boy Z5, and I am joined here today by DeWays and Nightingale. We're gonna talk to you guys about just about a little bit of everything that's happened in the past 2 weeks, and talking about the future. So, let's start with DeWays. How about you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell them who you are, what you do.
Ways I stream Epic 7 pretty much exclusively. That's about it.
And
well,
then Night.
I am Nightingale. You might know me either from my Twitch channel, which is Nightingale1176, or my YouTube channel, which has all the guides, which is also Nightingale1176. You can probably find me in one of the two places, either the comment section or Twitch chat.
Bet. All right, so let's first start off the ball running here. Did I say ball running? Whatever, it don't really matter. Hwayoung, guys. What do you guys think about our fired Chun-Li? Knight, how about you first?
Well, I think she's an interesting unit overall. I decided to pull her day one, which is against normally my kind of mantra. Normally I wait a little bit to make sure that it's not a bad unit. Like, I don't waste my resources. But I have to say, the kit was an answer to some things that I wanted. Is she for everybody? My answer right now, I don't think she's for everybody, especially in the beginning. But definitely she is something later down the road. I'm impressed, but I'm also still skeptically nervous on her concept.
DeWays, what do you think?
I think anyone who has that like Kize, like body skin, like stocking stuff is going to be a win in my book. So obviously she was a must pull for me. Now you're talking about like the actual like her use. I think she's just very overpowered. At least in the sense of it's hard to say overpowered because I feel as if I guess how the power creep has been is that like they've just been releasing things that are super strong and they've been one upping them. So like I think anything that comes out that is pretty strong could be considered overpowered. So I mean, I don't have a problem with her. I do think that she like has extreme like just one shot potential. Just some stuff like, for instance, I have a 27k like HP Belaine and she like one shotted it and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like the amount of damage this girl puts out. Plus she has like the damage mitigation, the barriers. She has like, it's like she's pretty much stacked, and I'm not just talking about her body, I'm talking about her skill set. So in terms of just the unit itself, honestly, she's really up there. I have a my SO right now. She pulled her earlier, and she's not super far, but I guess she's probably about mid game-ish, maybe about mid, kind of branching in game, and it pretty much carried her, like that one unit like carried her arena because she was having a lot of problems with high HP units, and it was just blasting through them. So I think that in terms of the use of this unit, I think she's going to see a lot of play, especially in from pretty much all factors, any type of PvP where it's like arena, guild wars, RTA, especially in RTA, because back in the season when I was doing Emperor climb stuff, I fought a legend player who, like when she first came out, I fought a legend player who had that, and it decimated me. Like it was no chance. Like she came in and just like shat all over me, bro. It was ridiculous. So I think in terms of like this unit, you have to have a countermeasure or you have to cleave it. If you don't cleave it or go first, she's gonna one shot you. So yeah, she's pretty strong.
Well, here I'll put a rebuttal to that. I've got one built you can't really cleave through.
You say you can't cleave through? Oh
And
no!
I can kill on paper. I'm killing Zake's 32,000 HP Dark Corvus with her S3.
32,000. What is this? I bet you it's like some fucking like hell. What? Not hell. It's probably that fucking like what L's fist or some shit.
Yep.
And now, yeah, that's why I knew it was some type of hell.
Listen, we're not gonna talk about the L's fist tech quite yet.
But yeah,
all right.
no, I think she's gonna, like I said, I think she's gonna have some. She's gonna have some. I wouldn't say meta-defying traits, but I think you're gonna see a lot of different variations of her. And you're right, definitely with she is a tank buster. I think the thing I'm just nervous on is I'm afraid to 15 this unit. Just because you never know what's around the corner, Jacko. And honestly, I mean, it's she's cool. I think she's gonna have. I think she's a cool pick. If anybody gets her, yes, it's gonna be a build unit. If you're into PvP and you're seeing, those Bellions, you're seeing
A-Robbies.
Yeah.
tanks, dark. I mean, to be able to blow up a Soul Weaver is amazing.
Oh man.
Like
Yeah.
the fact that you can 100% pen defense, it's dead. This is one of the few units in the game that gives you the full def pen on S3. There aren't many that do it.
It's pretty wild too. The fact that it's not even limited, bro. It's like a regular. It's a fucking regular RGB unit.
That's actually the good. I think that's the saving grace of this unit. I would be a little upset if it was a limited unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that I've really noticed with my climb currently, right, is that my entire team hasn't been that much of ML units at all. It's been a lot of RGB, and I'm really happy about that. Just because, like, in variation to the meta and things like that, it kind of gives like that kind of hope for players that are just starting, that they can also climb to like legend with just RGB and not having to pull all like the ML5s that everyone says you need to have.
Well,
Yeah,
I will
see,
say
I
this
think
though.
you are specifically you are almost a showcase of what I talk about all the time on stream. And I constantly tell people, if you understand how the units work, how the synergies work in their team together, how does their synergies work with what they've pulled, you can start finding those fracture hairline cracks and instantly shatter somebody's team if you know how to get around it. You don't need the latest greatest ML5 to be able to be competitive. You understand the kit you have and the units you have, you can do insane amount of things in RTA.
Yeah, I'll say that, especially when it comes to like climbing and things like that. Honestly, until you get to until you're actually fighting like legend players, oftentimes like when you up until legend, most of the people are. It's almost like a lot of people. It's almost like you have like legend players are usually like the shepherds, and then like everyone else below legend is usually like kind of the sheep. I don't want to say sheeps, but is what it is, right?
Pretty
A lot of
close.
people, a lot of them are kind of like mimicking or parroting what the legend players are doing. So if you know what the legend players are doing, or you've seen the builds, you can just build your stuff to counter that. So if you build your unit to counter what you see the legend players doing, you can pretty much bet that pretty much every time I see like anywhere Emperor and below when they select a unit, I'm usually can predict exactly what the build is, what probably if it's speed set, counter set, like all that stuff I can usually predict based off of just the games I've been playing. It's
And
the
also
people.
the units they draft with it is another kind of like flag card of, oh hey, you just drafted this with this. I wonder what that's for.
Exactly. And the thing is, when I was climbing up, the people I lost to the most were the people who would derive from that, because they would build random shit where it would have different sets or different builds that I was not familiar with, and oftentimes I would lose just because I was unfamiliar with like the speeds or like the different artifacts is
Overconfident.
different. Yeah, that kind of stuff, right? So like it's very beneficial to just I guess be very conscientious of that. And oftentimes, like I said, unless I'm playing like an actual legend player, I generally don't really have like that quite that issue. But like I said, it's in terms of climates like that. Oftentimes, it's quite easy to predict what people are going to do based off of that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've basically covered everything from Hwayoung. Um, let's move on to the next like topic, which is Guilty Gear. All right,
Oh.
Oh boy.
Guilty Gear, guys. What do you guys think Jacko is going to be like? Me personally, I've never played Guilty Gear all that much, so like as far as like fighting games wise, I have no idea what she does in the game. Or do I know what her animation is really? So I can't really guess
All
off
right,
of
so
that.
I did some research on it for the Guilty Gear prep video I did. And the TLDR for this basically is she's kind of a in-your-face player, so they typically tell her to play like mid game, so like she's constantly keeping her in Guilty Gear itself. She's playing with her minions a lot, so she's
Okay.
summoning these little minions and using them and kicking them at them, and she's definitely a bruiser of sorts. So I mean, I'm expecting some sort of warrior-based something at this point. I would be stunned if she was anything else. For animation, if we actually, okay, so the Guilty Gear this year is called Guilty Gear Strive collab. if we get the Strive animation, it's actually very lackluster. The Strive animation looks more like an S2 animation than it does a S3. But if you go look at her XRD animation, and it's not the it's one of the more like common ones, not the like big super long animation. That looks like an S3, which is pretty sick. So basically she jumps up in the air, you see a bunch of like streaks and stuff, she kicks the guy in the face, and then you see this, it zooms out to the earth, and you see this like laser basically hit off into space. So I'm expecting that to be her S3. As far as like kit, I really couldn't say, because it's like, are they going to make her a unit that counters Hwayoung? Are they going to make her a unit that Hwayoung counters? What are they going to make her an equal? What are you going to do? Like, how are you going to make this unit viable that doesn't just get instantly shut down and so that it's dead on arrival? Other than that, I can't put my finger on anything. I looked exclusively at Dizzy, Elfelt, and Biken's kits. Really tried to study them. I couldn't figure out where they would go based off of like game knowledge or anything like that. I looked at Soul. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, everything is... If you play Guilty Gear, which I don't really have a ton of experience playing Guilty Gear, I played it a little bit, and specifically a little bit of Strive. I can't pick up, and I have not played Strive with Jacko, by the way. So just in case anybody's wondering, I haven't played it with Jacko. I believe she was actually a DLC unit. I don't think she was originally, from what I read, I think she was a added-in unit, not a base game unit, which would explain why I never saw her originally. The animations definitely hold true to whatever the animation is inside Guilty Gear is typically what we're gonna get. It doesn't vary too far from that, other than the target itself will change. So in this case, you know, instead of it being one of the Guilty Gear characters, it'll be one of your Epic 7 characters that gets the targeted animation of however they bring that in to show them. Her kit, as far as like look, I'm assuming it'll look like her Guilty Gear Strive character, which does have the broken halo. So it's going to be that. I'm not 100% sure on the mask. If you look at the silhouette, if you look into her hand out towards the edge of the image, you can see that she's holding the mask, because you can see the bands, the leather straps from her mask. So as far as her live 2D is going to be concerned, I think she's going to be holding the mask, and you'll be able to see her actual face.
Interesting.
And I'm assuming that one of the Friendship 10s will have the mask on. And as far as the mask on during the actual game, I have no idea if they're going to put that mask on her. I'm assuming it'll be in the animation, because it's somewhat signature to her.
Okay.
I expect also some use of the iron ball chain that she has around her leg.
Okay.
At some point. I feel like that's probably her S1. They've been loading kits up. She's a limited unit, and I'm going to be 100% real with you guys. I'm actually afraid we're about to see a Dizzy level PvP unit for the next 6 months.
Interesting.
And
what's even worse, I think it's going to be right before the World Championship too. So
yep. And everybody's going to have access to it. So it's either going to potentially be a pull or you are screwed. Because that's how it was with the old Dizzy, right?
Mm-hmm. There was no like true answer for Dizzy back in the day, except for like Destina.
But now, I mean, here's the beautiful thing. Now the easy answer to Dizzy is Dilibet or ML Koerig, and it's like debuffs, lol. So I don't really have too much other that I've researched. I tried to help people out and prep as best as they could.
Get lots of molas. Get 33 molas ready.
33 ready.
30 technically if you plus 10 friendship.
Yes, if you test, but if you're going to be one of those day one plus 15ers and you don't have all three, what is it? You need like what 30? Is it like 30, 40 of those friendship boxes to instantly 1 to friendship 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have those stored up, you're a 15er that day. So you'll need 33. But you'll
That's
get your
one
free
reason I haven't 6-starred. That's one reason I haven't 6-starred Hwayoung or Hawaii, whatever her name is, because I 6-starred and plus 15 bad cat when I got her, and now I'm like, what do I do?
He said he's in a mola shortage.
I mean, I have enough. So I have enough to do it, but at the same time, it's like I like to keep a benchmark of 33, like kind of in my pocket, just in case. Right, Hwang is like I do think she's worth the plus 15, but at the same time, I'm kind of like I can get by without her right now. So I'm kind of like I'm just kind of hoarding it for now. Like
honestly, budget build for her, you can totally just +5 her passive and get the cooldown, and she still absolutely wrecks. Like you can get away with that. But
speaking of
I'm
bad
curious,
cat,
what do you guys think in terms of RGB?
RGB? Red.
What do you think, Jack? You think she's gonna be red?
Red.
You
Dwayne?
talking about Jacko?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say water, and I hope it's not. I really hope it's not, but I'm gonna say water, and that's only because of the fact that Hawaii, whatever her name is doing so much. Is so strong. Like oftentimes, when I do limited stuff, they'll like try to counter something in the meta. So they're gonna try to counter. They always try to counter something. And I was assuming they're gonna try to counter Hawaii, but they might not. They might try to counter like what are people like complaining about? They complain about
it's gonna be fire. I think it's either gonna be fire or water. I don't think she's gonna go grass because there's so much stuff that can absolutely dunk grass.
It could be grass. What if it's the next strongest like OP grass? You know, just ignores everything like Rimuru.
Yeah, Hwayoung and Rimuru just can pop if depending on the build will pop her. Like if you build bulk, like think about it. If you build bulk, Hwayoung absolutely smashes her. If you build it lean, Rimuru pops her. So you're trying to sell a unit. You got to think the most logical thing is that she's gonna have to go between being a direct counter for Hwayoung, or she's gonna have to be a equal to where she can't get countered instantaneously, which still leaves value to say the ReZero collab with like Rim and Fairy Tail, Cerise. It still allows them to Luna to all have like counter value if you're gonna go fire. So I'm gonna have to lean fire or water or ice, I should say.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the middle because I'm also thinking they might just make her just a standalone like stacked unit, right? Because they might just say fuck it, and because at this point, so many units are doing so much. So, like for instance, Hwayoung, like so many units are hard to like you can't even really counter them almost, right? Because like say Rimuru and things like that, they already like if they get their turn, you're dead, right? If Hwayoung gets their turn, you're dead, right? It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter what the unit is, and it's almost getting to a point to where it's hard to like really even counter certain things because of how just strong they are. You have to think about like how would you even counter her on like how would you make what unit would you make to counter that unit? I know that there are some counters sort of, but I don't even know. I haven't been able to try it myself.
S3 would if it's built on for the case of Hwayoung right now, Luna S3 should because she's built with basically no bulk and just all defense, you can one-shot a low HP version because people are right now. I don't know if
11k HP, 1.3.
Like they're building her so squishy and they're like, yeah, she's great. Well, yeah, but you're doing a ton of damage to a lot of units that you don't need to be doing a ton of damage to with her. Like if you think about her philosophy of use, I think bulkier versions of her would live through something like a Luna S3. But in this case, if Rim gets a hold of her, Rim's gonna pop any Hwayoung.
Yeah, I would say that bulkier is better. Like the one I was talking about in the legend player with the Hwayoung. I like what happened. Like I fucking had like 2 people dead, and I S3'd the Hwayoung, and I did like no damage. I was like, how much fucking defense does this Hwayoung have? Like it's
and
like,
the bulky ones. Too.
Oh my god, dude! Like the bulky ones are the things to be worried about. Because I mean, it still did enough damage to like one shot my Ruel, and still had enough bulk to like withstand like a APOC Robbie S3 with like 2 people dead. So like I think those types of Hwayoungs are probably like the best you can. It's the best of both worlds, right? Like you don't have to worry about necessarily getting one shot immediately, and then you also can one shot stuff. I think that knowing those numbers and knowing that I guess that baseline is probably the best to build for.
And that's where I'm thinking with Jacko. I think the thing here is she's either going to be equal to or she will be a hard counter to things like her. I think I feel like if they went anything else, it's a slap in the face to the limited unit because Guilty Gear has such a good reputation with them. They've got to make her fire or water to directly counter this. And if they don't make it to directly counter this, it's going after things like what else do we have right now that's pretty terrorizing? It's
Bellion.
Rimuru.
Someone, what's his name? Korean Jesus just came out with a tier list, which is apparently like one of the best Korea players. Let me look. He put Hwayoung up there.
No, she's actually like a menace. Like I'm not even gonna try to pretend like she's not. Like it's just her one shot of potential, and it's like you don't have to hit either.
He says the 4 that needs nerfed is ML Kerwick, AOL, Hwayoung, and Conquer Lilius.
Well, I think it's just because of like the thing is there are certain units that they kind of enable. I feel like enabling units are like the worst. Like units that enable other units to like almost be stronger than they are sometimes. Like because when you have stuff like Lilius who with the vigor buff and then with the dual attacks, that kind of like sometimes they'll make a threat that's already kind of a big threat, like a huge threat, just because of they enable it so hard, and then also bring so much, I guess, versatility by themselves. And create this power dynamic that's ridiculous. Like that's playing with AOL. I think AOL is just the problem with AOL is just that she has too much going on for her. I think if they just like took one of her things off her kit, it wouldn't be as bad. But she has the
immune to
strip, unbuffable, fucking
yeah, get rid of the
silence.
immunity to stun, and I don't care about AOL.
Oh my god,
I don't even care about AOL. I think I'm more thankful that you draft AOL because I'm always going thanks for the free win.
Bro, like it's like they thought this through. They're like, oh, what's the one weakness that she could? Oh, she could be stunned. Let's fucking
ML Ren would fuck her up so quick, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
I had one more thought that I wanted to bring up about Guilty Gear that I just thought of. I'm starting to wary on fire because you got to think we have Soul. Now I get it, he's free.
Yeah,
but he is technically a fire unit and a warrior. And we have Elfelt, who is a fire ranger.
Okay, so we're leaning more towards water now, or ice at this point.
Yeah, and if they did grass, I guess they've got to make her absolutely just murder.
Ignores elemental resistance.
Because I'm leaning towards grass or ice. Grass or ice.
You might be right. You almost may have to give her the Luna S3. And if
Rimuru's S3, no, a lot of people forget about this, but Rimuru's S3 is the same as Luna's.
No, it's not. It's worded differently.
Is it?
It is. It is not. There is no disadvantage. It's neutral. Luna's is advantageous.
Ah, okay.
So here, I actually have. I can get Luna up, and I'll read you both S3s really quickly. So Luna's S3 reads like this, which is Rengar Spear, which is soars into the air, hits the enemy with the spear with a 100% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns, penetrates the target's defense by 50%, and attacks using an advantageous element, acquires 5 souls when the enemy is defeated. So that's hers. And then if you go to Rimuru's, his reads, which is Devour It, Black Flame, attacks the enemy with a Black Flame, and a successful attack will inflict 5,000 additional fixed damage to the target. Fixed damage increased proportional to the number of buffs granted to all allies, up to a maximum of 1,000 or 10,000 fixed damage. When the target is buffed, decreases defense of all enemies for 2 turns, unaffected by elemental disadvantage.
Gotcha. So he can just hit everything without.
Basically he won't miss fire, but she hits anything, whether it will hit as element. And I think that would be the only for a limited unit. If they made her grass, that would be the saving grace for her, is that she could at least go after fire units, and it would allow her to hit, grass units just as hard, and it would allow her to go after water units.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're doing now for like limited since they don't make them MLs. They're like, how do we make this unit like
Almost
ML,
ML.
but yeah, almost ML, but like not an ML. They're like, let's just make it element neutral in terms of like or advantageous element in S3, and it seems like they've been doing that lately, especially with like the Rimuru and stuff. It's like that's how they, I guess, branch that difference. So I'm on board with that. I'm probably to be honest, I wouldn't doubt it if they did that, made it to where like it's element neutral
Because
or
the more I
advantageous.
was thinking about it, as we were, as I was sitting here, I was like, well, with Soul being fire and her and Elfelt being fire, would they really bring a third fire Guilty Gear unit to the game? Yes, they could do it. There's nothing stopping. There's no rules written down that says you must. So
I will say this though, back on Luna, bro. Luna is a fucking god in Inheritance, dude. Like she does so much fucking damage. Like I was
you're
doing
on counter, and then you'll thank me later.
say counter. Oh my god, I need to do that. I had her on rage, and like she was.
Oh,
she was
now
still
that's
doing,
stupid. Now, okay, you're hitting a lot more than me then. But
Oh.
the counter Luna when it procs, chef's kiss. Just saying.
Oh my god.
I'm a
Yeah,
degenerate. All right.
I went through and just like, but like I said, with my inheritance stuff, I went through and literally just put everything on rage thing. I think for this next inheritance, I'm going to definitely go more in detail as to what I build things with because, like I said, like the fucking the neck. I really hope we clear it because the neck is so good. That HP percentage neck. Well, it doesn't matter where you are in the game. That's going to be like a.
We
Like,
should. I believe in us. We should do it, but if for some reason we don't, yeah, it's gonna suck.
yeah.
So speaking of elemental advantage and disadvantages, you ready for the next one? The way?
Oh, you mean ML Flan?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Pirate Captain Flan.
Captain Flan.
Well, what? Someone said something in Discord earlier today, and I was like, that's pretty funny. It was the Fapton Flan.
I'm trying not to like. I'm trying not to do like really shitty puns or really shitty like metaphoric jokes about this Flan, but it's hard. Like every time I see that, I start thinking shit like plunder her booty and stuff, and I was like, I can't keep thinking these, I can't keep like having these like fucking these lame jokes in my head, bro. Because
I mean,
it's hard.
She's set up for dad joke after dad joke.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Like holy shit, like when I first saw her, dude. I was like, I want to find her buried treasure. I was like, no, let me just fucking stop.
All right.
God, dude.
So we already know Pirate Captain Flan's coming out next in the ML Mystic rotation. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on her kit so far?
I don't think she's a must pull, but I mean, okay, I think she's a. All right, so there's two different like
Phrasing.
voices. There's two different voices in my head. There's the voice. There's one voice that says she's a must pull because of it's a fucking pirate captain Flan, right? And then there's the other voice that's like, okay, in terms of like how rare the resource mystic metals are, in terms of like being smart with my resources, things like that, right? I consider like, is this a unit that if I don't pull, will it like really hard? Will it impact my goals? Like for instance, if I'm trying to shoot for, which I don't know if I'm gonna shoot for ledge or nothing like this season, but if I'm trying to shoot for like let's say a high ranking RTA rank, is this something that's gonna set me back? So oftentimes that's what I have to think of because of units like ML Coward and things like that, where like they're so fucking powerful. Like when you get like super high end, like not having those units become a like I guess annoying, right? It was very annoying to deal with. So this unit in itself, in terms of waifu purpose, fully waifu like shit, like I'm considered pitting this unit for waifu purposes, right? But in terms of like actual usability, in terms of my draft particularly, because it also depends on like how you play the game, how you draft, right? So depending on how my draft is, how I like play the game, is this unit that I need? Probably not. I would like it. I would like to try it out. But I think the biggest thing as to why I feel as if like I don't necessarily need the unit is because of it's the same reason why I have SBA, which is 6-star and like mold and stuff, but I don't use. It's because of it seems kind of hard to use control units if they don't have a strip. Since this doesn't have a strip, it's kind of it gets to a weird situation where like if the person is running immunity, you have a problem. That being said, people have been running immunity a lot less now because of it's becoming almost fucking not mattering because AO and stuff like that. But running into the situations where you that one unit that has immunity that becomes a problem, right? That loses you the game. Like I wouldn't bet on that unit to win me the game, if that makes sense. Um, Also, you kind of need with Flan, you kind of need 2 units to. You had to draft 2 strippers, right, to guarantee you get the value. I've been hearing a little bit about Flan, about her being like a bruisery type unit, that you build her like a bruiser and she lasts longer and it doesn't matter as much because you're going to keep cycling through. Which, if that's the case, that kind of changes things. But like I said, she's not out yet, so I don't really know how people are going to use her. I don't know like her viability. But I think in terms of just her general kit, because she doesn't have the strip, I'm not like super crazy about like I'll have to get her. Things like Seaside Saria, I'd probably rather draft stuff like Seaside Saria because she can, with those situations, with when I was talking about like the strips and stuff like that, right? Even though she doesn't have a strip on S3, the people who don't have immunity will get a bomb, and then she can detonate it at the end of the turn. That way it nullifies cleansers, because Flan's going to fall to not only the fact that if they have immunity, you have a problem, and if they have a cleanser, you have a problem because she doesn't immediately blow it up. So I think that because those 2 factors, I don't think that like she's going to be a must pull for me, but I do think that she's going to be in the right situations. She's going to be pretty okay, pretty decent. And plus, she's a waifu. She's a pirate. She's a fucking pirate girl, bro. Like, what more do you need? But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. I'm kind of like
40 because you know, robot and seawater. You know.
You know, people keep reminding me that they're like, you know, she's an android, right? I'm like, shh. I'm like, shh. You know,
just remember, WD-40 is your friend.
It's like, hey, you know, we don't talk about that. But I mean, her design though, holy shit, like it's like right up my alley. Like that fucking like pirate girl shit is like, it's something that I needed, but I didn't know I needed until I saw her. So I'm kind of in that weird boat. I might do like 50 pulls and see what happens.
Listen, if they just swapped her extra turn from her S1 to her S3, I think she'd be a much better unit.
Well, it'd be nice because you'd be able to at least blow something up at that point. I think, like I said, the big thing with Seaside Series is like you can just, even if they have immunity on some pieces, on some people, you can get lucky, plant bombs on the people who don't have the immunity. You can also S1 strip soul burn. So it kind of covers your ass. Yeah, you can kind of cover your ass a little bit too. So you S1 strip soul burn just in case it doesn't work. And then you S3 and bomb. So if you're cleaving, you don't have a wasted turn. With the new unit, if you have to go double strip. And then let's say you only fit in 1 stripper and they ban the stripper and that they happen to have immunity, you're kind of in a weird, or a cleanse. Immunity or cleanse, you're in a weird situation because they're going to cleanse or they're going to have the immunity, and she's not going to do the job. So.
I know what you're saying, all right?
Yeah.
But a full bomb comp sounds like a lot of fun. You throw MLAO in there. It's time to shine. You put Summertime Iceria, and you put Flan, and then you just pick. At that point, you could really just choose Carrot for the burns at that point, or you could choose who would be a good one. Ran would be a solid one. And then they ban Ran, and your Leo's like, I don't know, let's say you give him to like 270 speed, right? Decent effectiveness, good attack, and like he reduces buff durations by 1 turn, so like there goes your immunity. He lands AoE bombs, and I think his S3 has the extra turn.
I'd say that I think that's gonna be really interesting. I think like I'm very curious to see what people do with it. It's one of those situations where I don't see the immediate value, because I always compare things based off of like what the current very strong units are, right? So I think that when I compare it to what's out right now, I'm not seeing a strong differential in terms of like, oh my god, like for instance when AOL first came out, the power difference in AOL comparative to the other units out at the time was significant enough to make me feel like I had to like spend, like I spent past my budget trying to get that unit. Like I almost like quit the game. Like it was one of those situations where like the difference of power scaling from that unit set a precedent to me, to where I was like, okay, if this is the new precedent for power scaling, then every unit that comes out is going to start becoming if I don't pull this, I'm gonna be at a disadvantage. And I was like, I didn't like that idea. Um, so it's kind of one of those situations where now, because of the units that they're releasing like that, like because of AOL and stuff like that, I kind of I use that as a baseline to where like I'm like, okay, so is this unit so it goes from like, oh, how much of a waifu this unit is, because if it's waifu enough, I don't care. And then after it goes past the waifu check, it's like, okay, so if it's not high enough waifu, I consider, okay, comparative to the really strong units out right now in terms of like, because it comes down to this probability for me. Like when I draft a unit, what's the probability that it's going to win me the game if I put like my best gear and stuff on it, right? So it comes down to that probability, and if the probability isn't as high as say stuff like AOL or ML Coward, then I don't really consider pulling it as much, unless it's like I said, high level waifu. And ML Flan for me, probability wise, I mean, I'd rather just wait to see what the next stuff, what else is coming out. That being like, that's kind of where I'm at. I do think, like I said, I think she's gonna be fun to use. Like she seems like a fun ass unit. Like she seems fun. Like I wouldn't mind trying her in like a full bomb comp, ML Leo comp. But if I'm being realistic with myself, people are gonna catch on to that pretty fast. People are gonna build up counters to that pretty fast. So unlike something like Seaside Saria, is one of the units to where like honestly, I can sometimes just draft this fucking unit, bro, and win because like I'll sometimes draft it and I'll draft it with weird shit. Like I'll have like a counter unit, like a rim. They'll attack me. The rim will counter, strip the fucking thing, and the Seaside Saria will bomb it and then push everybody up, and then I'll S1 and burn, and like it's like you can do weird, crazy shit that is ridiculous with that unit. So I kind of base those type of power skillings based off of the probability that I'll win a match. If it's not waifu, like I've been drafting a lot of back at Armin and losing, so I don't give a fuck. But but I'm saying like when in terms of like if it's not hard waifu, I do consider a lot of these factors. And for me, ML Flynn isn't like really reaching the expectation that I'd have for like a unit that is not like I have to have unit in terms of like a waifu situation. Also with the like power scaling, it's not like I feel like I need to have the unit. So like I'm kind of in that range because mystics are hard to get, dude. Like getting a Misty Pity, it takes a fucking forever. So like I kind of like value that really highly compared to like RGB shit or limited stuff. Like Mystic stuffs, I really have to kind of consider if I can live with pitting like a unit that I might not really get the mileage out of. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. Well, I think it's time for Uncle Nightingale to come in and have a chat with you guys.
Oh no.
So let's first off, I do want to say this. Let's go give the Smilegate, just the Epic 7 devs in general, and especially the art department, a fantastic round of applause. Like the video, all that good stuff. Her S3 animation is absolutely stunning. And I'm super hyped at the if they keep this up, we're going to have some absolutely amazing S3 animations in the game, and I understand now why the high quality texture pack was a must, because they knew that they were losing so much. When you look at like Conqueror Lilius's, it's like, yeah, you look at the night and day difference between that and now, let's say, ML Flan. Her S3 animation would look horrible on the normal one. There's so much detail in it, and it's insanely well done. As far as her like looks and stuff, I'm not gonna pull her over just looks. I'm able to sit and go. I can control myself. I can't. I'm not pulling over wife.
Round of applause for Nightingale here, because I can't.
I can control myself, not pull for waifu reasons and stuff like that. Is she, to me, I'm going to be 100% honest, I think she's a bad unit. And I think, and we talked about this actually today in my chat. Do you realize that she is literally a landmine trip? Everything about her kit will trip every landmine in the game. She's able to trip Politis, she's able to trip Violet, she's able to trip anything and everything out there she can trip with her kit. So I think she's, as we said, and this is coming from a absolute insane whale in the game. She's missing one unit from being actually usable. He doesn't see right now currently any path to her being viable. It's going to be more of a hindrance currently. But you got to look at her kit overall. The bombs are cool because that cannot be stripped. The burns can obviously be stripped instantaneously. High ER units instantly shut this unit down if you happen to be one of those degenerates that run high ER. Me. You're going to have situations where if you build all around all this effectiveness, you're going to either win the game off 15% or lose the game off 15%. And I mean, sure, that's a play style for somebody and great.
Gamers.
Well, it's not even that at that point. It comes down to, I like the fact, here's what I do like. Like, the combat readiness on her passive is whatever. I think that's cool, and it's a nice help to move your units forward, but it's 10%. I believe is what it was at max.
It's 15
the S3
max, if I remember.
It's 15
right?
max? Okay. It's 10 or 15. I don't remember. We watched the video, or we were looking at the video.
Yeah, it's 15. Today. I have it right here in front of me.
Okay, cool. The S3, besides the animation being absolutely astounding, it's cool, but I don't... You make her too overpowered and you give her the strip allowing her to use that crap, or you have to bring somebody else to do the job and you can go stack on something else. Now, the cool thing is, as you said, if you move the soul burn to the S3, it allows her to now detonate a unit by going S1. So you're able to S3, S1, and something dies before they've cleansed it off. Sure, that's cool. But I don't think this unit specifically is... I think people are going to regret pulling her if they pull her solely for her looks, thinking that she's going to be good. Also, with the current mindset of Smilegate, of at least what they've said on paper, and this isn't what we can't take completely for granted, is they do say they're going to take a no buff ML policy.
Yep.
Unless it changes the meta. Unless it's going to do the thing that they need it to do, they're not going to buff these MLs. So hoping to pull it as a pocket pick later when it gets buffed is you're basically betting on the lottery at that point. I like your ideas of the bomb comps, but again, ER comps can counter that. And especially if you try to do it in a Guild War sense, I'm dropping Christie down, ML Ken, and I'm going to laugh as I blow every single one of y'all up. That's the way I would look at it. Because unless you've got 300 effectiveness, you're not getting through my Christie and ML Ken. But now, in other terms of in RTA, yeah, it's a lot easier to avoid, being able to get screwed by a high ER comp. Other than that, it's a neat unit. I like the look of it. I'm not a super pirate simp, but I will I'll say it's it looks good. They did it, like I said, the art design of her is great. I just think overall this is going to be one of those passes, and soon in 6 weeks we're going to have something way more menacing coming. And I have a bad feeling about it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of the stuff you said there in terms of the unit. Kind of like when I was talking, or like earlier when I was talking about like SBA being like could be very strong, but she needs strips. It's kind of like one of those situations where, and the thing is, like, kind of, I agree with what you said about the buff thing. I don't think they'll buff her because if you give her the strip on S3, she's too strong. Like, it's just there's no way to get around that. Like, if she
does everything at that point.
Yeah, if she strips S3, it's too strong. It's going to be ridiculous. At that point, you just drop her in with like a seaside, and then you just win the game. Like it's like you don't lose at that point, right? There's no like at that point you just win. So, like, I don't think they're going to buff her either. So, like,
guys,
I agree with a lot of stuff you said.
I just saw something. I didn't notice this earlier. But in the video, they put Seaside Isaria's artifact on her.
Oh, yeah. We talked, again, I was talking with that legend player in chat, and we were bouncing back and forth between talking about whether it being good or not, and he says that's not going to be the artifact for her because it's more valuable on C-side of Syria than it is her.
Yeah.
So unless you have 2
You get max
copies,
one.
you are much better with that being on C-side than ML Flan.
Yeah, so mine's not even max. Like mine's on C-side, still not max. I still need, and that's with me using like bottles and stuff. So like and it's not really reasonable too to try to max another one unless you're like whaling or something. When C-side comes out, it's not really reasonable to try to max 2 of them.
And that's what he was saying. I mean, he's like, I spend tons of money on the game, and it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
He thinks that there's going to be a better option. He's like, but he says he can't tell until he's got the unit in his hand, then he can start playing with it because he's got everything. So he said, we'll figure it out. But he's not like, he says, as far as that's concerned, that's not going to be the tech for her.
I also agree with what Nightingale said. I don't think this is going to be something that unless you're like really far in and you have like a lot of shit built and a lot of like options, I would not pull for this unit either. Because this is not a unit that's going to really do anything for you unless you have, like I said, a lot to support it, right? And even then, like, you're kind of memeing a bit. So it's like, you know, even then you're memeing a bit still. So, like, because there's just better options. So, I mean, like I said, I agree with that too. In terms of, but now I don't agree. I can't control myself though. I don't have self-control. No, I don't have that. I mean, I have a lot of random like. That's probably my problem now. I have like my old. He's just okay. Like I have my.
Say, you know, the first step is just admitting you have the problem.
Oh no.
We're here. You know, me and Zake are here for you. We will help you every step of the way.
Listen, it's already too late for me. Pulled back Cat Armin.
Plus 15 and everything, dude. Like, and the thing is, like, and I play with this unit extensively too, and this unit is not good.
Oh
like,
no!
Like,
hey, but listen though, not an ML5, so it can be buffed.
Bro, like even like even on paper when I first like saw our kit, I did like people were talking about like, oh, really strong. I was like, I don't think she's that strong. I mean, I like because her S1, they're like, oh, S1 AOE with the Champions Trophy. I'll tell you right now, bro. I put on Champions Trophy. She stuns maybe once or twice a match. Like,
you say that, like, but I got my entire team stunned by her S1 once, and I was just like, is this game we're playing today, Small Gate?
You got that bad RNG. Like, you can't solve bad RNG, right? But like the thing is, like, she kind of just sits there. Like, she sits there. People will just kind of ignore. You have to bring her into like AOEs, and even then, 40% is a lot less than you think. Like 40% is not even like a 50. Like you think like 50% is 50-50 at least, but 40% procs a lot less. With all the and then with all the unbuffable and stuff going around, the crit damage buff does nothing as well. So oftentimes
you say this that 40% does nothing. Remember,
basket.
Enemy's Alexa's basket is always going to proc. It's
on the other team though. Like now, if Batcat was on the opposite side,
probably get Shrek, bro.
I would be getting wrecked.
100%. I think she'd be good with a Stene comp. You know what I mean? You T-Cross it, Batcat, Stene, and then another DPS.
That's where my 27k HP Belain was coming in. So I was doing bullshit. Like I was doing like Batcat and then like S10A Belain with super high HP on counter, and then I was doing like Ruel. So I was doing like super protect, like super bulky, super like defensive, super like last very long time to get value out of the 40%. But one of the problems you run into a lot as well is that like because our S1's AOE. You know, having an S1 AOE can be nice, but at the same time, you run into that situation where everything counters you at all times. So, like, you S1 AOE and you get countered. That's why I was kind of saying that if that 40% counterattack was unconditional and it wasn't, like, on the turn, it would be pretty cool because, like, you could S1 into, like, 5 and stuff like that. They counter her, and then you have a chance of proccing her passive if it was unconditional, and then you bring her into these counter units, and it's not as bad now, right? But now it's kind of a weird situation where if you don't niche pick her into a lot of counter stuff or a lot of stuff that does AoE, you run into a situation where they ignore her, they don't touch her, and you're just relying on like S1s that probably are gonna get countered anyway. So she becomes a liability, and she's back at though. She's my waifu, so I won't give up on her. But like I played her. I think I played her like 100 games, and it was not good for me. like I was winning games, but I think it's just because of the gear gap and like me knowing how to play RTA. I don't think it was necessarily bad cat. Bad cat wasn't winning. Like I could literally have replaced her with anything, and I still would win the game. So it wasn't her like that was winning it. But hey, I mean, I guess if you want to force it, you could probably force her and kind of meme a bit. But outside of that, it was sad. It was just kind of sad, especially since AOL was like the last MO4, and she's like ridiculous. But hey,
contest between them.
Let's move on to the next characters. My personal favorite from the update. Okay, Vigilante Leader Glenn. Okay, super happy that they gave him a specialty change. A little upset it was Glenn before Adley, but you know, beggars can't be choosers.
Okay.
I haven't built him yet.
Well, first and foremost, his specialty change missions are literally a pain in the ass.
Yikes.
Okay, it's 500. You have to kill something 500 times, and then you kill something 500 times with Glenn on the team. So it's like 70 runs is what my math added up to. 70 runs each.
That's painful.
And it's on episode 3. So like the enemies are like, you have to bring a full built team to kill them quickly, not even fast, but quickly enough that it doesn't take you. It took me all day to farm it.
It's kind of tragic.
Wow.
I saw a random Reddit post of like a Glenn doing 30-something K with Extinction to Violet, but I mean that's a random Reddit post. I don't really take a lot of stock
no.
in
His
like
damage has been very high. It's always been really high. He has some of the higher damage modifiers on his S2 soul burn, right? So you throw Unseen Observant on him, and he is a self-sufficient unit. The only thing I think that they could add to his kit to make him like right where he needs to be is a skill null after he uses S2.
So
That's kind of creeping out of. I'm sorry, that's creeping out of 3-star territory. Like he's a 3-star unit, starting to give 3 stars tech of 4-star and 5-star units.
Ian has a skill null as well.
But I'm saying like you've now got a specialty change unit that now extincts and gabs, and you're wanting to give him skill null. You're going to, I think it's going too far on the unit tech. That's what I'm saying. Is like you got to keep in perspective. This is a 3-star unit. And now if we're going to start going through and we're going to do this update to now start, bringing 3 stars to 4-star value, sure, I can see it. But if you're going to keep it in a perspective of a 3-star unit, adding a skill null is starting to cross the line with how decked his kit is.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of going up there.
You're already up there.
Yeah, because like you said that skill note, I'm like, bro, this guy is fucking. I mean, it's not the same kit, but in terms of like the same like in terms of having like lots of abilities, I was like, bro, Zahak is like 5-star unit, right? Does a skill note and things like that. I'm like, Glenn's gonna be like, I guess not necessarily like I said, not the same function, but like in terms of just like
he's basically
ability,
a 3-star Zahak. Yeah,
ability is gonna be like stronger than like a fucking like 5-star unit. Like it's gonna be pretty wild. I mean, that being said, though, like they did there was like a carrot crisis for a while when they did the 4-star stuff, and I know that in the
ML5 proved me wrong.
Yeah, there was a carrot crisis. Everybody complained, right? Everybody complained about it. But like I said, I think a lot of times people are going to just complain about everything, so I don't really take much stock in that. But they pretty much they did ask in that survey. They were like, hey, do you want more? They literally pretty much pretty much what they said was, do you want more stuff like carrot, right? And I'm not sure how many people actually was like, yeah, let's make like 3, especially.
Oh yeah, I completely said yes. I put a list of units.
I mean, we might. I mean, depending on what people said, if they actually listen to those things and like looking at those, hell, we might start seeing some fucking spec change units that have ML5 capacities. You never know. They were talking about like we're not going to stop buffing ML5s and we're going to pay more attention to other units and all kinds of stuff. So I'm honestly, I don't know where they're headed with it. I know with a lot of the heat that they're currently facing with the the Korean player base and stuff, and the whole situation. I know last time they did that, at least I wasn't playing when it was, but it seems like they really took it. It was a really big deal for them, and they really changed a lot of things based off of that response. So I honestly don't know where they're gonna go with it here. But I guess we'll see. I mean, I was happy for the free stuff though. I mean, like it helped my Seaside Syria. It helped my Seaside Syria artifact. I mean, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see
I
what
mean, as
happens.
far as like my opinion of like Glenn at this point, other than his damage and like Banshee, because people are like, oh, he's gonna be the new Banshee one-shot unit. No, he's not. You have to soul burn it to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
The only way you can do the only way you could use him in like Banshee one-shot is you'd have to use the Lucy method. You'd have to bring a restrict unit. You can't. It's not a Biken or a Euphene one-shot kill.
Yeah.
I mean, crap. Mighty Mouse can do it, or the Mighty Scout can do it, but not him.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, he does like you're talking about earlier, the self buff, extinction, things like
Mm-hmm.
that, the attack and stuff. And I'm kind of
That's
like,
cool.
the thing
I'm
is
all
though,
for it.
like, the thing is though, like, it's like there are kind of a lot of units that do that right now, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of units that kind of either extinct or like they-
Not
I know, like,
really. The extinction units are right now. It's Sigrid.
mhm.
Let's see here, Glenn,
Lilibet.
Lilibet.
Milim.
Then you have Specimen Says. You have Sigrid. Wait, did I already get
Yeah,
Sigrid?
you already said cigarette.
Yeah, he says secret.
Milim.
Malim. Yep, Malim's
Yeah.
got it. So there's 5. And I think that's there's
Besides what's her name? It's Angelica.
one more. Doesn't count.
So,
It's-
yeah, no, I
yeah.
would say it counts because it's not really extinction.
yeah, no.
I guess-
mean,
I guess-
actual extinction. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
Hers is just
I guess that
it
makes
cannot be
sense.
revived while she has the buff.
Tomaka. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah,
I think.
top
I think.
model. There we go. There's 6.
Yeah, because I think I have all of them. So I guess technically speaking, if we're going from like a perspective of like just pick up, because you can just pick Lynn up no matter what you have, right? So like it's technically just like a pick up extinction unit, and to get in 3 stars not hard. So I guess that makes sense, right? Because you won't necessarily just have like I think like the easiest one is like Sigrid and Lilibet, and then after that it's like what MLs pretty much for the most part,
I think in
limited.
the terms, I think it's as of right now, Sigrid's the absolute easiest because of the starting on the account, and then it goes Glenn because it's just a normal 3-star you'll summon.
Yeah.
And then Lilibet would technically be just as equal to Sigrid as far as like people who don't have Sigrid. It's just when her banner rolls around, you can do it.
Yeah.
But then now the MLs become a different story because Spez just had his rerun, so it's going to be coin shop for those people. Top model is technically could come around for it. And then Malim is obviously a limited unit, so maybe this fall people can pick her
If
up
they don't
again.
waste their resources on ReZero.
Yeah.
Because remember, ReZero was right before Slime.
Yep. Within I think it was about 40 days, 30 days.
Yeah, it was right before. Yeah, that's true. That was kind of that was a lot.
And we had Luna and Landy.
Yeah.
Oh my
In there
god,
as
yeah,
well.
that was fucking.
It was rough.
It was rough. Like,
Bro, I
it was-
remember I pulled Rim and Amelia. Amelia was the one that took me the longest to get, and I was just like, bro, if I don't get Amelia right now, I'm gonna be so upset. And
It's
then like
bro.
and then they announced the Slime collab. I was like, well, I'm just fucked out, bro. I don't have the resources to keep trying to. And I think like for this literally all 30 days, I did like up the hunt buff real hard and got up like 40 mil and refreshed the shit out of everything. And I got enough to get 1 Rimuru, and I got like 2 or 3 Millims, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I felt bad. I kind of felt bad because the thing is, I'm not even free to play, right? Because I bought the what is that I always buy like when they have the collab and
specials?
stuff. I buy the collab pack too and stuff. So I wasn't free to play, and it was still like super hard for me to even like have enough to do that shit. So I was like, bro, like for like people who. Well, also I summon no covenant though. I'm irresponsible as shit. So I think I think as long as you like, because the thing is, I think as long as you like actually have patience and like you pace yourself in this game, oftentimes you can kind of get what you want. Except for I'm not talking about like MLs though. ML5s is kind of a different story. You have to really kind of pick and
Hand
choose.
grenade,
But like
basically. You throw it, you might get it, you might not. I've been playing day one, and I say this to everyone on my streams, right? I'm like, yo, I've been playing this game for the longest, and I don't have all the MLs, and I probably will never ever have all the MLs. Like, I can get all the RGBs, no problem, but when it comes to Moonlights, I am missing a good chunk of all the 5 stars. Like I didn't have RB until they gave them for free.
And this I mean that kind of just goes back to the thought where I've been preaching pretty hard trying to get because the ML pity system is just trash.
No, yeah, it's definitely bad.
But if they moved that concept to Galaxy bookmarks and allowed somebody to select a ML5 of their choice, nice. But it's still 200 galaxies, which is 2 years worth of galaxies.
That's fine.
You can eventually get and cherry pick those off because, as they said, if you take the exact concept of you select the unit, if you pull that unit before pity, the pity resets. If you pull another ML5 along the way, doesn't reset the pity.
Oh my goodness!
You take that whole concept, it's cool.
Guys,
you could eventually collect it at that point, but it's still a stupid system.
I wanted to let you guys know what happened when they introduced the Mystic Pity system. They gave us back every Mystic summon we've ever used up until that point.
Yeah, I did hear that. I heard about that.
So if they do come out with a Moonlight Pity system, I am pitying like 2 units off the bat.
Right. We got one more specialty change in here, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Right?
We do. All right, let's start her up. I haven't gotten her yet, but Verdant Aiden. I have no idea. I know that like they added a heal on her S3, right?
No, I don't know, bro. I don't even do story. Like I haven't done story so long.
The story's actually really good right now. I've been reading it.
I mean, I know it's good, but it's like one of those situations where, like, because I was so like, I think my capacity for the game, like, it becomes one of those situations where I find that the more time you spend on this game, at least for me, the more energy I spend on the game, the more I have to pick and choose what I focus on. Because if I focus on everything, I go crazy. So, like, for instance, the one thing I cut out, I don't do a ton of arena because, like, I'm already kind of over. Like, my mental capacity for the game is already maxed when I'm doing a lot of RTA and stuff. So oftentimes I just like I kind of like dip out on arena, and I kind of like dip out a bit on raid. I do raid, but I dip out a bit on normal raid sometimes. Sometimes I don't completely finish it, but I always get the charm for hell raid. I always get the charm for hell raid. But I kind of have to like pick and choose just for my sanity, because like sometimes it does for me get a little bit too much. And story is another thing that I kind of dip out on. Like, I'll do story when I feel just like in the mood to, but oftentimes like I kind of like I skimp out on it. So like in terms of Aiden stuff, I'm not very far in the story, so I don't even anything with Aiden I'm not even sure about at the moment.
All right, can I call you out on this? I got you.
Go ahead.
I know you've got Rowana. I know you've got Dilibet. I know you've got Landy. And let's see here. Who's the other one I use on the team? Hold on, I'm pulling my lab team up right now. You can do it in 3 runs.
I'm not saying.
I'm just saying, like, as Cameron, I was like, you know, you can do you can clear all of Labyrinth in 3 runs, right? The normal one. And you can. You can get that up because I was just saying, dude, you're passing up like free artifact charms.
No, I 100% get because like when I first started playing, so for the first year, I didn't miss a single anything. So like when it came to like. When it came to anything, I didn't miss like literally anything. When it came to Guild Wars, I think I might have missed 1 Guild War attack, and I hated Guild Wars at the time, right? I think the only time I actually like kind of started like Guild Wars and stuff is when I was in like when I joined your guild and I started actually kind of caring about.
Yeah, I remember you're like, I kind of do it whenever, and I'm like, dude, you are wasting your talents. Come here.
Because I was literally just like going into my Guild Wars stuff and then like just quick doing attacks and not even really caring, and then like leaving out. I wasn't caring at all. So like a lot of that stuff, I was doing everything. I was doing the arena. I was even logging on to do the stupid ass 2-hour like check your what's it like 2 hour. I was doing the 2-hour missions and then coming in logging on 2 hours doing it. So I was like doing it for about a year, and then I think after that year I just like fucking my brain just sizzled out because like when it comes to raid, I can do raid pretty quickly. It's just it becomes one of these situations for me where like I can do it pretty quickly, But
Yeah.
like I just like my mind, bro. It's like my
No, I understand.
mental,
I was just,
you know.
I was just saying, dude, if you're using a team that's like, if you're worried about, being around it, just to hit the auto button on that team and just run around. Because I know you got all the units.
Yeah.
But as far as what I've been able to tell with Aiden, here's the thing. I'm personally trying to keep people from investing into her too deeply right now because she's ever changing, and I don't want people to get attached to something that may not be here, which is what sucks about this unit. Like right now, the big thing is everybody's like, dude, Banshee unit, use her on Banshee one shot, use her on Banshee one shot because of the buff. And I'm like, but if they change her kit down the road, sure, it's great to get started right now, especially while she's a grass unit, cool. But what if they get rid of that buff somewhere down the road? Because she is going to become a light unit, which does make me curious. Are they going to also make her fire and ice before this is over with? We don't actually know, because they said something about her elemental changing over the story, that she's going to be an evolving unit. So the specialty change, I think we look at this as a specialty change that, yes, it is a change, but it's still pretty much the same unit with a few things changed.
Yeah.
Is it good? Yes. I would equate this to between a Mercedes, in between a Mercedes and a specialty change. But I don't think anybody needs to get out and get super hyped to build this unit tomorrow because of it. For the fact the next day, well, to be fair, the next story update could be the next change.
Yeah.
And what happens to her then? I'm trying to get people to understand, just wait it out. I know it sucks because right now it's March 5th, 2022. And we're not projecting, according to where I've been tracking, that story wrapping up till around
the end of this year, basically.
Around October of the year. So we've still got quite a long ways to go. Yeah, you can get the goodie out of her, but I hate seeing people instantly going and trying to do as much as they can to get her as decked out as they can before we see the end result. I'm assuming she's gonna, because she's supposed to be the new main character.
Yeah.
So I am Team Aiden. I'm hoping she gets the Roz treatment where it's a unit you feel confident in using no matter where you go. But right now, it's literally, to me, it's a useless Banshee unit. For beginners, it's a good Banshee 13 starter to get you into Banshee one shot. Past that, I don't want to see new players trying to use her in other places.
Arena.
You could, but then what's the point of the buff? You know, the buff that she has. It does, other than it's another buff. That's for her. Yeah, you could possibly, if you had Rimuru, that counts towards the total buff count. But I think patience is what we need with her and to see the final result. I like the concept of what they're doing, that we have this ever-evolving unit, but they also should have somewhat given a vague timeline of what's going on with her. Like, a true, I think it's in the story you can kind of look, because you see her element changes.
Yes.
But at least
if you look at her awakening path, it tells you kind of like where in the story this is going to happen and this is going to happen. So,
but they should have shown it as some sort of graphic somewhere that we could share around, be able to post and send on Discords and stuff to say, look, here's kind of the rough path. She's going to be grass for roughly around this. She'll be water, fire, and then she's going to hit the light at the end of the story. I guess you also could hit the tag of spoilers, but you already said that the unit's changing. How is that spoilers? The only thing we don't know at this point is, does she get to keep rotating those elements? Can we change her element?
She's changing elements 3 times.
Or is she going to be a unit that once episode 4/10/10 happens, is she permanently locked to a light unit? Which is cool. I'm okay. I'm all for them giving out a free ML of sort. I mean, it's a 3-star ML, but you're gonna have to put the work into it to turn her into it. Especially if they make the process worth it. Cool. Yeah, I'll tell people. Yeah, as soon as you get to it, start working on episode 4. It's gonna be a pain in the butt, but you'll be able to do it. So, I mean, that's my thought with Aiden. I'm not gonna go out and build up on her. I have some friends in the guild that have done it.
I have one member of my guild that's especially changed her already, and it's currently I think it's maxing out her.
Where are they trying to use her?
See, I don't think he built her strictly for like useful capabilities. More so a waifu. He's a waifu collector kind of guy.
Okay, so there's no direct.
Yeah.
We're building it because of X3s.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so it's not like they're trying to force it into.
He does farm Banshee, so he might throw it into his Banshee team. But
that's fine. Like I said, right now, I am not trying to say don't have her on. Like, she's a great alternative. The only reason I say Leo is better is because Leo is going to get used in more places, and she cannot hold Song of Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, her buff is Song of Stars, but you will need that debuff for certain one-shots. Because, as in Watcher Shuri's case, the Death Break does nothing for him. He needs the target. And you can stack both, which is cool.
Okay.
So, go forth. If somebody out there is wanting to do it, I'm not saying don't go do it. Just don't be upset if it changes.
Don't put all your eggs in a basket.
Yes.
And then get mad like Korea when they change.
Yeah, don't review bomb when they decide to now change that buff to something else.
1 star. This free unit isn't doing what I want it to do. 1 star.
Exactly. Listen, man, it's actually insane. I think it's really crazy. A little side note right here, like the whole review bomb thing. They've been doing it since the beginning of the game, so it's nothing new to me. Right? Like I said before, I'm a day 1 player. I've seen it happen twice now, and they've changed a lot of stuff because of it. One of the bigger ones was what was it? Alencia? I think Alencia was one of the bigger ones, if I remember correctly.
I'm either or there on the review bombing situation because it's kind of one situation. I've been playing gacha games for like, I don't know, like 10 years or something, like a while, and a lot of the gacha games don't really honestly, they don't give a fuck about like what you want. Oftentimes, like this is the first game I played where like they actually actively changed things when people were like really upset. That being said, I don't know if review bombing is something that I necessarily agree with. I think that's a little extreme, but at the same time,
at least they didn't do what Seaton told them to do with 7 Deadly Sins. He got them to charge back all their charges.
Really? Holy shit!
No.
Oh yeah, no. He literally got so fed up with 7 Deadly Sins crap. He posted a video and, without saying it, he told you exactly how to get all your charges back.
Oh my god!
And get out of and 1 star bomb. I mean, he did everything.
Oh god!
Charge back? And do you realize he spent over like 70 grand in 7DS?
Oh my god! You wouldn't put
That's crazy.
See, now charging back, that's a lot. I mean,
that's steep. And that's what I'm saying. At least they're not doing stuff like that. At least they stand their ground. They say what they want to do, but going that far, I'm like, dude, these guys have got to make money, pay bills and stuff like that. It costs money for them to do this stuff. Sure. Are they robbing us blind? Yes, but it's a business. They got to make money.
Yeah, chargeback. I can't get behind chargebacks. That's a lot.
That's crazy.
like I said, what they're doing now, I'm like, because at the same time, they're, like I said, they're pretty much
trying.
They're voicing their opinion. I mean, I'll bet a little. I'll bet aggressively, but they're getting results. So it's like a situation. It's like if you're asking politely for something, right, and you're not getting a result for it, why not,
escalate a little bit?
Why not escalate it, right? Because at that point, if you get results, then you should do it, right? In that situation,
and it's not actually harming them. All they're doing is it's by review bombing, it's lowering the rating in the stores, which if they hit a certain point, from my understanding,
gets removed,
it's pulled. It's pulled, so they can't actually bring it up anymore. Yes, it raises their attention that the general community is not happy with something that they're doing. Cool, I get that. It's a form of protest, at least here in America, freedom of speech, all that good stuff. I know this is Korea. Great. I'm for that. If they listen, cool, and if not, thank you for the compensation that you gave along the way.
I'll take more compensation, 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, if you want to slip me another some 5 Molagores and another bottle and a slate,
nice.
I'm all for that. I'm not gonna say don't, but
nice.
I could use it. So if you want to throw me the dime, go for it.
Smilegate, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Z5. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Comment to see what you want to see in the next video. I'm always trying to create more content for you guys. So in order to make better content that suits your guys' needs, I just need some feedback from you guys down in the comments below. Thanks, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.